Project 2025, there are some proposed changes that will be coming to student loans and also to people who owe debt collectors and people who owe original creditors for debt that is charged off. So no one's talking about this. Absolutely no one. And I'm very surprised I just now came across it, and I came across it by getting ready to do some research for an individual who has a student loan who's looking at resolving those with the servicing company. So, Project 2025, initiated by the Heritage Foundation, proposes significant changes to federal policies, particularly concerning student loan debt and repayment structures. Critics argue that the proposed changes could substantially increase financial burdens on borrowers. Key concerns raised by critics that we have not heard in the news for some reason. I'm not going to say nobody said it, but I'm letting you know. So please like this video. I'm about to go through the key provisions that they would like to change. This is Project 2025. So key provision number one that they would like to have changed, and this would also be in relation to charged off debt that is purchased by debt collectors. There's I don't want to say systems, but every state has something in place, including the federal government has things in place that would consider portions of your income to be exempt. It varies from state to state, and then there's one minimum mandatory amount that is exempt from the state, and especially when it comes to people on Social Security income, retirement income, and stuff like that. Well, we got some things that we got to watch out for because they could be making changes to the exemptions, but this is what they've written down. Elimination of income-driven repayment IDR plans. Project 2025 suggests replacing existing IDR plans with such as the Savings on the Valuable Education SAVE plan, SAVE plan, with a uniform repayment structure. Analysis indicated that its shift could lead to higher monthly payments for many people who have student loans. And remember, we were supposed to be talking about saving people money, lowering the cost. For instance, individuals who attended college without completing a degree might see their payments nearly quadruple, go up 4 times, while those with associate's degrees could experience a 3-fold increase, 3 times. Overall, typical borrowers might pay an additional $2,700 to $4,000 annually compared to the current SAVE plan. SAVE is SAVE. This is a plan that is in place right now. So if you hear in the news anything about changing the SAVE plan or to get rid of the SAVE plan, that's what this is about. If they get rid of the SAVE plan, if you didn't graduate, you're going to pay 4 times as much for not graduating. If you did get an associate's degree and certain degrees, 3 times. You're going to pay 3 times as much. Now, the next one here, reduction in income threshold for repayment. The proposed plan would lower the income level at which borrowers, I always have trouble with that word, are required to make payments. Currently, under the SAVE plan, individuals earning less than $34,000 are exempt from payments. Project 2025 proposes to reduce the threshold to $15,000. So we got $34,000 down to $15,000, meaning individuals earning as little as $15,000 annually would be obligated to make monthly payments. Termination of loan forgiveness. So no loan forgiveness. I know some of you don't even like the loan forgiveness for student loans, and some of you are all for it, especially if you ended up getting them. My opinion on it, I'm like this. If the individual is trying to do something with their life and they've made a certain amount of payments, I think that the money that they would put into the income by maybe getting a new car, getting a house, working with different businesses for different products and services would cycle through the economy to benefit a lot of people. And remember, loan forgiveness was only if individuals had paid a certain amount of payments. They wasn't just throwing it out willy-nilly. They wasn't just throwing it out to everybody. The next thing is they want a privatization of student lending. Project 2025 recommends transitioning from federal student lending to private entities. Critics warn that the move could lead to higher interest rates and reduce borrowers' protection, making it higher education less accessible, especially for low-income students. Now, let me speak on something about that. There is, if they privatize it, will the bankruptcy provision be wiped away? Because main reason why the government was able to get involved and was able to get it passed through Congress, where they said student loans cannot be put into bankruptcy, was mainly because the loans were going to be sold to the federal government. That was the main reason why. Like the private entity made the loan and then they went and got the money from the government. Now, if they don't go and get any money from the government and they just do all private loans, will those be subject to bankruptcy? Because any other corporation file bankruptcy, we got over 700 corporate bankruptcies where they didn't pay all the money back that they got. Now, I already know what most people will say. Well, they were in business and they were doing business and they just couldn't continue, but they were paying employees and all of that stuff. Yes, you're right. Just like an individual, even though it's an individual that has, household expenses and paying stuff like that, in a sense, it's still like a business. You're paying companies your money that you go and work for at your job, circulating the money. That's why it's very important for people to understand that the money system needs to circulate. That means it goes from your hand to that person's hand to another hand. There was this well-known hypnotist, Marshall Silver, who gave a great example of how you can circulate $100 and pay you could pay really a whole bunch of people with $100, and everybody would have gotten what they paid for. And he had just gave the example, and I'll try to remember the example. He had said, say for instance, I started. Steve had $100, and then I went to a grocery store and I bought $100 worth of groceries, and then the grocery store went and bought $100 worth of supplies. And then the grocery store that bought the supplies the supplier went and paid his worker $100 for getting, for working to get the supplies ready. The worker who got the supplies ready got the $100 and went to a bar and paid the bar $100 for his drinks. And then the bartender went and resupplied for $100. So do you see how important it is for our money system to circulate? And this is what the main thing that I don't like about stuff like this that's being proposed is that it doesn't let money get circulated. I understand I want people to pay their student loans. People should pay their student loans. But I think that if we look at the way that the system was sold to people with going to higher education and not being able to get a job that would match what they spent for their higher education, and not in all cases. Some cases, the person needs to be very motivated to get to the upper levels, but education is very important. So I'm not someone that's going to say that education is not important. But there is something to circulate money in my community that I have my businesses in and my employees in. I circulate money that comes into my business to my employees. My employees go and do business with people in the community, and they've bought houses, cars, stuff for their kids. Doctor, like one of my employees is going to take their child to the doctor. This is stuff how money circulates. And when we make it so difficult for people to even be able to get out of a debt cycle, and a lot of the people, as a matter of fact, the one individual that I was doing the research on had paid the student loan off but did not pay all of the interest, like paid not the majority, but about 25% of the interest, and paid the student loan off. But with the fees from having to, when it went through a down period in his life, to where the interest kind of blew up, and had to defer for a little bit, it ended up making it to where it just ballooned up to a high amount for the loans. I've dealt with some people. I have some clients that are attorneys, and they have $250,000, $300,000 in debt. They were paying $50,000 plus per semester for their schooling. And yes, they can make a lot of money as an attorney, but most of them, I could just tell you straight up, most attorneys don't make a lot of money. Most attorneys do not make a lot of money. The people you see on TV and the big time people, they're very aggressive, and most people in any industry, are not going to be super aggressive, and they're going to end up like fitting in middle class. And when you're in the middle class, you got to be very careful with any class. Not just middle class, with any level of money that you make, you got to be very careful. But when people have a whole bunch of student loans stacked on top of them, and it makes it very hard for them to get out of a debt cycle. And then when they're just putting almost all of their extra resources into paying those student loans, we miss out as a group, as an economy, as a community. We miss out on that individual being able to circulate money throughout our community. So I want you to post your questions and really your comments about this. Give me your opinion about what you think about this with Project 2025. And they do have provisions in here also for debt collection companies with the where they want to change the exemptions. Let me give you an example. There was a young lady. We're working with her case right now. Personal injury funds are 100% exempt from debt collection, because that's something for personal injury. Personal injury funds are exempt from a lot of other things. There's exemptions if your account is seized by a debt collector, that they have to leave you money to be able to pay your personal expenses. You could give them an expense sheet, and they have to release that amount of money. Those types of exemptions seem to be on the table because it's more about, I don't know if it's just their thoughts of how a free market should work, but maybe they should look at the way that they let corporations get out of a lot of stuff. They liquidate out, and the people at the top make a lot of money when they liquidate out. All right. I want to hear y'all's opinion on this. This is a video I didn't even expect to be making today. Like this video, post your questions and comments. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video What Makes a Difference, 6-point validation process, my two-phase settlement process. And the most important asset that you have is yourself, not your credit. That's an important asset, but your most important is yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, you're not going to move forward on getting anything done. If you need help, if you need help with your credit, please visit creditrepairshop.com. If you need your credit report scores, go to www.your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports, and all 3 scores. You have debt collectors coming after you early in the game. Grab my 3-pack of letters. Statute of limitations, debt validation, cease and desist collection activities letter. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.